Back to the firestorm now, tied to the release of Sergeant Bergdahl and those 5 Taliban leaders at Gitmo. As we've been telling you, so many unanswered questions, but with the release of those prisoners, so many are concerned about what messages is sending to the Taliban and other terror groups. Also, what about the culture of the terrorists who hate America? Joining us now, Robert Young Pelton, who is an author and documentary filmmaker who's been tracking Sergeant Bergdahl, and he did this shortly after he disappeared. And Brigitte Gabriel, a well-known terrorism expert and the author of They Must Be Stopped, Why We Must Defeat Radical Islam and How We Can Do It. Welcome to the both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brigitte, let me begin with you. When we all saw that video released by the Taliban this week, you say there are some very interesting messages here and that symbolism is being put out by the Taliban. Tell us more about your personal reflections about that video.
Well, Mullah Omar already rejoiced, sending a message to his troops that the fact that the father, Bergdahl's father, on the steps of the White House declared Islam victorious, they looked at it as a victory because the father spoke in Arabic, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which is the opening words of the Fatiha. And this is the prayer that basically throughout history, anytime Islam conquered a nation or a city, the Islamists will gather and pray that prayer to declare the city for Islam. This has been done throughout the 1400-year history of Islam. So this is why the Taliban are rejoicing. They're looking at this as a celebration, as a victory and an empowerment move for the Taliban and the Islamist troops, not only in Afghanistan, but all the mujahideen throughout the world, the Islamic world.
Robert, why did you set out to look for Bergdahl, and what were some of your initial thoughts as you searched for him? I also understand you know a great deal about the Haqqani network. What can you tell us?
Yeah, on June 30th in 2009, I was an advisor for the 4-star, the commander of the area, and we got a call that a individual had walked off the base. The situation was somewhat unclear, but since we had people in the area, we knew that that was an area for kidnapping. Keep in mind that David Rode of the New York Times had just escaped, and they were looking for another American. So we were able to track them, and within a couple of days, they had sold Bergdahl to the Haqqani network, and we then tracked him all the way to Pakistan, and then we were told to wave off.
And that surprised you, didn't it?
Yeah, because there was a lot of military activity shortly after that, which was kind of unnecessary because Bergdahl was in Pakistan, and obviously I don't have an opinion or any activity there, but we did a good job of tracking him, and his location was known for a long, long time, and then he was moved around, lost, and then we refound him, and it was always a mystery why Bergdahl had spent 5 years in captivity.
Interesting. Brigitte, we're hearing from the Taliban who are already saying this release shows that America will negotiate with terrorists and that Americans will indeed become high-value targets going forward.
No, exactly, and they are correct in saying that, because now we have set precedent, and this is why the leader of the Taliban said now we can go after bigger people like Bergdahl, and you know, it endangers our troops all over the world, not only in Afghanistan or in Iraq where we have presence, but also in Syria, in Nairobi, in any place where we have not only American troops but American diplomats serving overseas. This is why we have set precedent. Our enemy is learning from our mistakes, but we are not learning. And what President Obama did with this move in swapping 5 high-value leaders of the Taliban for some deserter of ours have set precedent for generations to come.
Brigitte, what are you hearing from your contacts over there? Are they saying indeed that as soon as the troops pull out from Afghanistan, it's back to business as usual?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we know already that some of the people that have been released are already now back getting ready to lead Afghanistan. So basically what you are seeing with these 5 leaders of the Taliban that have been released, you are looking at the future of Afghanistan. These are the people who are going to be the leaders. They are respected. They serve their time there in Gitmo. They're looked at as heroes, and they would lead the nation. And this is what America will be having to deal with.
Robert? No, go ahead. I was looking at Robert. We're running out of time, but I wanted to give Robert just the last word here on his thoughts about what this is going to mean going forward, and how concerned are you?
Well, first of all, I stayed with two of these mullahs when they surrendered in 2001. They were shortly renditioned to Gitmo. These are old-school Deobandis. They have no use to anybody. Secondly, the Haqqani network are the Zadrans. They are a very different group, and there are much deeper problems between the Haqqanis and the Taliban that you'll see emerging over the next few months. But the bottom line is that these people are useless. They're old-school Deobandis. They went to school with Mullah Omar. They're not going to command anything. They should go to a war crimes tribunal because Mullah Faisal is a war criminal. He killed a number of Shia Hazara when he was in the north there.
Yeah, and those folks are very worried about his release, as we're hearing from different news reports. And I understand what you're thinking about. I understand where you're coming from.
These people are not functional.
But, you know, there are still a lot of folks who are concerned that these people will be back in the middle. Even if they actually may not be on the battlefield, they could be in advisory positions helping the Taliban and the Haqqani network. Who knows, going forward. Well, thank you both for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.